All right. Okay. So thanks everyone for dialing in, taking the time to join our server admins Tableau user group. We've got a special host today, which is Mark. You may know Mark. He is our Tableau Zen Master guru who knows everything about server, and he runs the server admin group for the US. And he's kindly said that he'd like to do this as well for our APAC friends on this side of the world. So thank you, Mark, for doing it in the evening time for you and daytime for us. We really, really appreciate it. So today, Mark's going to talk a bit about what's new with 2021.1 and a deep dive for admins. So you're going to learn a lot about what the new features are, how explain data works and what controls there are, how collection permissions work, as well as what is Ask Data Lens and how Lens permission works and what is the relationship between Lens and published data sources. So before we get started, I did want to do a quick shout out that we do have Tableau conference happening. It's 3 days of fun. It's completely free. It is virtual. So please do register and you can follow the link that's just there and I'll post it in the chat as well. For 3 days, you're going to see what's coming, what are the new product feature updates, anything from whether you're creating dashboards to wanting to implement a data culture within your own organization. And you can see some stuff about TCRM, which was formerly Einstein. So you can learn a lot from there. And then the last thing I will say is I know there is a role opening at Interworks, which I've been asked to share. So I will also post that in the chat specifically for server admin that will be working in APAC. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Mark. I'm going to stop sharing. And just FYI, any questions, please post in the Q&A box that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. And Mark will try and answer that during and then at the end of the session as well. So I'm passing it over to you, Mark.
All right. Am I sharing my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Tableau APAC server and online admin user group. Today's demo plus deep dive focus on the 4 features as part of 21.2 release: explain data, subscriptions timeout, collections, and then ask data, more on the lens, and so on. Tableau has already released 21.3. I guess we'll do the demo later for 21.3 feature. Today's feature demo is focusing on part of the 21.2, mainly on the server side. Although there are a bunch of other features, I will go through very quick. Start with explain data. I mentioned this is demo plus deep dive. I'm going to start with the demo right away. I'm using actually Tableau Online for the demo, using a sample Superstore dataset. I'm just showing the customer data. When you click any marker, this is what we used to see. Keep only, exclude all details. Now I'm going to show you how you can enable the explain data. By default, even your server or online is already on 21.2 or 21.3 by default. None of the workbooks has explain data enabled. This is by design. So the workbook owners have to enable them one by one manually. Like what I'm doing here, I'm just doing the web editing. Click edit on the server. They can also publish from desktop. Go to the data tab and click the data sets and publish data sources, whatever. Notice there's a new thing called explain data settings. Just click that. You will see allow explain data to be used and another tab and types of explain data. all you have to do as workbook owner or admins, you can just say allowed and click OK. And you need to save, of course, save this dashboard. Again, this also can be done from Tableau desktop, will be the same thing. I'm gonna close. This is saved already. Now coming back to the same workbook, when I click any marker, notice now there is one explain data icon. Looks very tiny, very small. But this is available to all the dashboard end users. Remember, when you click this explain data, for example, this marker I clicked is the largest customer by total sales. Now it says, for example, it says multiple things. It talks about even profit. So in this chart has profit, but sometimes the explain data will use the columns that are even not in this dashboard. That is why Tableau has to design explain data such a way that by default is not turning on. Only by the owners, one by one, turn on the workbook. Again, because there are some columns that will display here may not be even in the original dashboard. Just be aware. This can be additional columns you didn't want to expose to the users, but when you turn on the explain data, likely the column may show up, although you do have options to decide which columns if you really care. Now I'm going to click explain data for this cell. It's very big. It tells me, interesting, I don't know if you can see, you can now zoom in to see this better. Zoom in, like average sales for this customer is only 1,600 something, but there is one extreme value that makes this customer is number one on sales. If you click this one extreme value, for example, it just shows you a chart where this is extreme value, but the rest is very, very small. So this does provide additional insight that, well, this extreme value, just one record, one sales order, this may be an error. This may be a data error, you know. I don't know this data, okay? I don't know this set, but your business teams, they will know their data set. Now, also Tableau tells me if we were to exclude the one extreme value, Sean Miller is only like bottom 5 as customer versus top 1. Okay, that is something interesting. That is a feature about explain data. Now, since this is for server admin, let me just share with you a little bit more about server setup thing for this explain data settings. Okay, no matter you are on site, no matter you are online or on-premise server. One is, can you turn off explain data at a site level? Yeah, the answer is yes, you can turn off. That is only available from 21.3. You are able to turn off from 21.3 the explain data at the site level. Can you turn off at the data source level? If you remember that yes, the answer has been yes for a long time. Now, sorry, I was wrong. Can you turn off explain data at the data source level? Yes, only from 21.2. That's a new feature, of course. Turn on, turn off. By default, it's off. You have to turn it on. Data source level, data level one by one. Can you turn on or off explain data at the project level? I'm not aware of that feature. Can you turn on off at the server level? I'm not aware of that feature. There is one more. You can do a web editing from Tableau desktop to server. It's one quick feature. I can also show you very quick. If you do a web editing here, again, notice this is a thing. This is the new you can open it from Tableau desktop. Very straightforward, simple enough. Okay. And since I'm here on the server, let me also show you a couple of new other features. I'm on the site level setting, okay, where you can see now, this is actually the big feature for me for some other large customers. Now you can see for one site, I'm able to add more than one Python servers. You can also add more than one R servers together, R, Python, whatever. So this is a feature only available from 21.2, where one site allows multiple analytics extensions. So there's a Tableau's new term called analytics extensions. That includes Python, R, even Salesforce, Einstein, and so on. Okay, one site allows more than one. Also, if you are using online, you click integration, you see there's an easy, much easier, quick with Salesforce integration. Again, this is a online 21.3. Tableau for Slack is available on 21.3 only. All right, so those are a few quick new features. I talked about this already. Next one is impossible for me to demo to you, but I'm going to show you on the slides. Also, it's very difficult even for you to find this info from Tableau's online Tableau's documentation. The documentation is not so good yet for this feature. So that feature is subscription job timeout. I mean, why you care about subscription timeout? Well, you do want to make sure your server is able to scale. You don't want some people have like hourly subscription jobs that can slow your server down. You may know already Tableau used to have a subscription job already. It's called subscriptions timeout. Now, what is the deal with this long call backgrounder.timeout.single subscription notify? What is the deal? What difference? The main difference is that the old existing subscriptions subscriptions.timeout is a per view timeout of the subscription job per view. Let's say if a workbook have 5 views, if a workbook has 5 views or 5 dashboard, you call whatever, and then you have subscriptions timeout 5 minutes. That means the workbook will not time out until the job takes more than 25 minutes, 5 times 5 views. Well, this new configuration key is called single subscriptions notify. That is for the total subscription job. It means if you set this key as 5 minutes timeout for the subscription, if the workbook again has 5 views, the total 5 view subscription render cannot be more than 5 minutes versus the old key will be 25 minutes. That is a key difference. It's per subscription job versus per view. That's a key difference again. Okay, I'm going to walk you through some examples. What if you say my subscription is only for view? Then there's no difference. This new key versus old key is no difference. Let's say if I subscribe a workbook that only has 1 view, again, it's no difference. But difference lies in if you subscribe to the workbook level and workbook has multiple views, that would be a big difference. Plus, there's one more difference. I even don't know, you can find this from every Tableau's documentation. The old subscriptions.timeout actually never works with PDF subscriptions. The new key, bingo, works beautifully. All right. make it simple. What is my recommendation? My recommendation is use both. Why not? Use both. For example, here's what I will do on my server. I have the existing subscriptions.timeout set 5 minutes per view. Then I have a new case that is 10 minutes for total views. Means even the workbook has 5 views, but I don't care. It takes too long. 10 minutes, timeout. That's all. The main reason is I wanted to have the good behavior because I do know there are some publishers on my server where they are so smart, the design and dashboard is so slow, they know the user cannot wait to click, so they subscribe only. Well, that works, but it's a bad design philosophy to start with. I don't quite like that, which is why I find this subscriptions timeout is useful. I do want to time this out, this user cases out, and so they can improve the dashboard design. Let me just take quick one, maybe two questions at the QA. I'm going to look at the QA. Sorry, before I move on to next feature. There are 3 questions pending. I'll just take 1 or 2 very quick. Sarajan, can site admin or server admin enable explain as default in a site level or server level? I'm not aware of. That's a very good question. The question is, can admins enable explain data for all the workbooks? Hopefully you're talking about all the workbooks. By enable at the site level, that's very simple. I'll show you. Okay, enable site level is very simple. There is explain data. Okay, enable. I'll show you. Okay, let's be clear. See that? As a site or server admin, we can, of course, enable explain data at the site level. However, it does not mean it is enabled at each workbook level. No. Even I have this enabled at the site level. At the workbook level, it is off by default. If you're asking, can we have this enabled for each workbook? I don't know. I don't think so. I do not think so. Let me just. You got a second question. After adding analytics extension at the site level, do we need to set this query script disabled as false? I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that. You all need to do is at the site level extension, you need to enable that. If you don't, none of this will work. You have to enable that. Once you enable that, you have to create a new connection. You have to add type of connection. You have to add the connection details. That's all. That's all I'm aware of. That I have set up already. That's all how I do it. I don't know any other changes you will have to do. Now, I will have to go back to my slides. Otherwise, I won't be able to finish. I'll try to leave more time at the end. Next feature, jump onto collections. What is collection? Why Tableau develops collection feature? Let's talk about that. What is collection? In the last couple of years, when more and more Tableau customers are building more and more dashboards on Tableau server, one common feedback, one common complaint is that sometimes it is so hard for end users to find out their dashboards on the server, especially if your server has hundreds of thousands of dashboards and you are not doing good enough job to archive those older ones. It'd be too many for them to sometimes, although not everyone access every dashboard, but it's common theme, common feedback. Sometimes it's hard for audience to find the dashboard. So collection is an intent to address this problem. Let me start with demo on the collections. Okay, collection demo. A second, collection demo. All right, go to collections. You can have a new collection. Okay, notice there's an icon over here on the left side. Okay, the menu left side is a collection. Okay, you can have all kind of collections. You can create new collection and so on, right? New collections. I just create new collection already, and you can drag whatever things you like to drag. Okay, for example, you can drag with anything you like to drag. Let me show you one. Okay, I'm doing let me just new collection. Okay, when you create a collection, looks weird, looks nothing. What's going on? Looks nothing, right? Okay, you have to add content in the collection. Let's say you can add folders, for example, right? You can even add, go to your metrics. You can add whatever metrics, whatever you want to do. Once you are done selecting, just saying add collection. Okay, which collection talk about? I think I'm just right now called Marco collection 6. By default, you can change the name. I think add a couple of items here. Marco collection number 6. I think this is a guy I just created. All right. You can of course rename that. Demo collections. Okay. It's the easy part. Okay. Now you can also share with permission. Okay. I'm going to grant permission. By default, you may notice is private. I create a collection and only available to me. I'm going to share my collection to some other people, like new whatever team, new job role, whatever. Your new team organization, you can find, of course, groups, whatever. Like say, I find all users, just for example. Likely you will not do so often, but let's say I'm going to have view permissions. Okay, so only view permissions, very simple. I share to all users. Probably you're not supposed to share all users often. Maybe I should, yeah, you will share to a specific group of users only. Okay. Once you share, so the private become gone. So whoever in a group, they can see this collection. Now the question here about permission around the collection. There are two different things. One is collections permission versus the content permission. Okay. For example, I have a matrix. This matrix has its own permission. Click dot, dot, dot. I can check the permission here, right? That's a matrix permission. If I click matrix permission, no one has permission, okay? Although I grant the demo collection permission to everyone. What that means? What it means, if it's John log on this server, John can see this collection because I share to John, I share to every user, but what happens is John will not be able to see this item because John does not have permission to this item. So key point to remember is that the collection permission is different than the item permission, the content permission in the collection. Again, the collection permission is different than the content permission within the collection. Why? Well, think. If the collection can change, can alter the permission of the content, it will be a nightmare. You don't want to see that. You do not want to see that. Because content permission, no matter what book, data source, metrics, is owned by the content owners or the project leaders. Only those can change the permissions. You don't want other people to cascade your permissions, right? You don't want other people to cascade your permissions. So permission of the collection is just more like a tagging thing. Who can see the collection? They will never cascading the permissions. Then you may ask a question, why I need the permission around the collection? Why not make collection available to everyone by default? Public. Well, that was initially the beta version, how the beta version works, but many customers like me, I don't like that either. Why? especially when you are dealing with a large server deployment. If every single collection is available to every user, what you may quickly end up with is that you may have like 500 or maybe 2,000 collections on a server. Then you cannot find which is which. That goes back to the initial problem we try to solve. The problem has been, we try to solve here is, we try to organize the content better for end users. Try to organize the content. When I say content, means server, dashboards, and so on. So you want a collection to have a permission where only salespeople can only see the sales collection. You only want to see the subset of collections. That's the main thing why the collection permission design. Let me recap very quick. Let me recap around the permissions of collection. First is the default. Okay, when any collection is created, by default is private. Only the owner can see it. Owner can share, can grant access to other people, users groups. Okay, but the owner of collection will never alter the content collection within the the owner of collection will never cascading the content permissions. Put this way. All right, let me just also deep dive a few more things. Either try to confuse you or try to have more understanding, try to help you to understand more. If you follow me, then you will be able to really understand the collection much better. Who can create a collection? Anyone on the server. Okay, it's not only publisher. Who can share the collection? Owners. Of course, admin can, but we talk about owners. Okay. What can be added to a collection? Almost anything. Project, workbook, data source flow. Well, Lens is coming too. How permission works? Again, I spend more time talking about permission. Owner can grant user a group permission. But collections permission will never change the content permission or object permission. What if I have no permission for any item within the collection? What if I don't? Well, you will still see the collection, but when you click it, there's nothing there. Although there are something there. There are 5 dashboards maybe, but you just don't have the permission to see any of them. How to unsubscribe? If people grant you the access for the collection, can you unsubscribe yourself? Answer is no, unfortunately. But this is also consistent with any workbook permissions. Nobody can subscribe. Only the owner, project leaders can change. What if the owner is become unlicensed on the server? What if? Well, similar as any other objects on the server, that's okay. Nothing happens. Can the project leader modify a collection? Although the project leaders are able to modify workbook data sources flows within the project, however, project leaders can do nothing about the collection. Nothing. Who can delete the collection? Owners, of course, can, and the admins, of course, can as well. Can I check the usage of my collection? No. It's like tagging. It's really no usage. Really talk about. It's more like tagging. All right. This is a collection deep dive. Can I add image? You can try it. You can, but it's not as good as project image yet. You can. All right. Who can see the private collections? Only the owners, and of course, as us as well. We as admin, we can see everything. All right. Move on. Next one. Ask data. Ask Data has a bunch of new features. Maybe before I do so, let me just see if there's any quick questions I can answer. I'm looking at the QA only. If you're on the chat, I'm not checking the chat. Let me see if there's any quick questions around collection. Dinesh, can server admin view other users' personal space? The answer is yes. Okay, it's personal space question. Can you explain collection share concept again? Collection share, okay. Yeah. Collection is to help users organize their content better. For example, if you are a publisher of a sales area, okay, you may have a sales rep, sales manager, sales directors. Each of them likely have their own dashboards, likely. So each of them may have a bunch of dashboards, reps, managers, directors, to make their life easier, because sometimes they don't remember the link, they don't remember where to find their dashboards. To make life easier, what you can do is you can create 3 collections, one for rep, maybe have 5 dashboards, one for managers, maybe have another 4 dashboards, maybe one for director, maybe another 3 dashboards. So you will set permission of sales rep collection to all the sales reps. Hopefully you have a group for that. Similarly, you will set permission for collections to all the directors. So when they click each of job rule, when they click collection, they can see a bunch of their, they can see a couple of collections. Sales rep, they will see sales rep collection. Director, they can see director collection. When they click that, they will see a bunch of dashboards useful. That is hopefully explained. What's the favorites? That's a good question. What's the difference between the favorites and the collection? Well, favorites are whatever things you want to favorite for yourself, but you cannot share. Okay? Favorite is things you yourself you like, you want to select, you want to favorite, but you cannot share. Collections is something that you create, you can share to a bunch of people. Depends on the job rule or geo user type of users. That's the main difference. That's a great question. Thank you. Oliver, can I copy someone's collection to be mine, then edit the collection as mine? I don't think you can copy it because there's nothing to delete, to download. I don't think you can. I'm not aware of that. That's a good question. Maybe you can subscribe a feature, Tableau's feature. I don't think you can copy it and edit it as yours. All right, I'm going to go back to my slides, talk about Ask Data. It's a very big change around Ask Data. Pretty big, actually. A bunch of features together, Ask Data, as you can see. Get my mouse back. Okay, where's my mouse? Give me a second. Okay, Ask Data. Now you can embed Ask Data to a dashboard. This is very helpful. And also, Ask Data now works for rule level security data source. This is a big feature. Although you can hardly see this from any documentation, but it's working. It is working. I tested myself. There is a new concept, Ask Data Lens. I will explain more details. And of course, now Ask Data works for all type of users, including viewers, recommended views. You can change it. This has been there for a while. And you can turn off, turn on Ask Data at the set level. Let me dive into that. The best way to do is go demo. Ask Data demo. Let me just use this one. Here's my demo. As you can see, This is the dashboard, right? This is Ask Data and dashboard. Okay, oops, what I click? Sorry, click wrongly. Okay, Ask Data is the dashboard. When you click this dashboard, you see there is Ask Data. Come on here. There's Ask Data embedded into this dashboard, where people can say, you can ask whatever. Think about this feature. What is total sales, for example? Okay, type the Ronnie. Sales that's like. What's the total? Sum of sales. Sum of total. What's that? So just say total sales to make it simple. Don't know how to type. Total sales. Total orders. Maybe. Here we go. All right, and you can say by month, for example. Okay. Click that. Simple enough, right? This is just simple Ask Data, but it's embedded here. So where is this guy? You can say, I'm going to web edit this. So I'm going to turn off. I'm going to web edit. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to add again. As you can see, now when you do a dashboarding, you can see there's new icon here called Ask Data. That's how you embed it. That's it. That's it. Now, when you do so, it will say which data source in the cases order. You may have more than one. Okay, we can choose now. Lens is here. You can also choose different lens. Now, what is a lens? Okay, what is lens? Let me talk about lens. Go back. What is lens? I can close this one and don't need to save. I'll show you the lens. Lens is a new object. Just say explore, like projects, workbook, and so on, flow. Now there's a lens. New Ask Data Lens. Let me talk about concept for the lens. Concept. Why is lens? What is lens? Why? Yeah. What is concept around lens? I do have one slide I can explain better. Okay, for the lens concept. All right, I think this slide is best. Lens is subset of the published data source. Is a subset. Okay. For example, you can have a lens, you can have a published data source. It's for the whole finance department. Where in the past, one problem is that when you make this data source available for Ask Data, there are too many columns. Different people care different things, right? Too many columns. Now the Lens is trying to solve that problem, where you can create 3 separate lens based on a same published data source. One is for finance manager, another is for finance analysts or for planners. Each of them is a subset. So when the manager clicks this, only they see the 4 or 5 columns. Simplify things. Okay, that is the main concept. If I will create a new lens, I'll come here. Lens is based on, for example, I have a data source here, right? Now I can create new lens. See that when I'm going ready to do the Ask Data, it asks me, hey, there are some lens already you want to use. Now I can create a new lens. Creating lens is a publishing process. Okay, you have to say what the name of lens. Let's say demo lens. I can give a description if you want. I can say publishing lens. Lens is a publishing process. It's different from a collection. Okay, I published lens already. Well, lens. I can go back, edit the lens. I say this is only on the give sales. I don't want to show the quantity. I don't want to show the profit. I don't want to show discount, and so on. Okay, you can select subset of data only. You cannot go beyond, but only subset of data. That's a lens. That is lens. Now, when you ask data, you noticed I go back. Now, when Ask Data used to be here right away, show you the Ask Data. Right now, Lens is required. It's not optional anymore. It's required. It's not option. It's required for using Ask Data. Because Lens is a new object, guess what? Lens also has its own permission. When the lens is created, afterwards created, you can create a permission, same as workbook data source permission. You can grant permissions. Lens has its own permission that is independent from the published data source permission. Independent lens permission. Now let me talk about permission. Lens permission. This is important for admins to understand the permission, how the permission works. Okay. Which one is better for explain the permission of lens? Okay, this one is better. All right, lens permission. Let's say you have a published data source. On the left side, you want this group of users to use to ask data. You will have to give the connect permission to the published data source. This has been there for a long time, right? And this does not change with the lens introduction here. Now you create a lens based on the published data source. Unfortunately, you have to create a lens from published data source when use Ask Data feature now. It's not optional anymore. Then you do the Ask Data. Let people know they can ask data. Now, the permission. For those users to use Ask Data, they need to have two type of permissions. One is, number one, their continue needs to have data source connect permission, same as before. In addition to that, this is extra. The lens, you have to give view permission. Otherwise, these users cannot see cannot use Ask Data. They don't see the data. Yes, this is, I want you to digest this a little bit. This is a little bit duplication work, a little bit. Okay, I give my feedback to Tableau Dev. Hopefully, they can simplify this area a little bit in the future. Now, I'm going to double click this. What if you embed the lens into your dashboard, as what I showed you earlier? What is the permission for the dashboard and the permission for the lens? It'll be this scenario. Use case number 2, where I embed Ask Data into the dashboard. There are 3 permission things you have to set up for users to use Ask Data. One is, of course, workbook permission. Number 2 is data source connect permission. Number 3, lens view permission. You may say that, hey, when I have a data source connect permission already gave to user, the lens is only subset of the data source. Why I need to give additional lens permission? You're right. I ask the same question, but that's current design. All right, this is the lens and the permission. Little bit duplicated. Okay, but this is the way how it works on 21.2 and 21.3. Let me see if I can do a deep dive on this. It's become more, hopefully you can follow me. Okay, what I'm trying to say is try to help you admin to understand lens versus published data sources. It's a parent and child relationship. Similar, like I said, view versus custom view, view versus matrix, project versus sub-project, workbook versus view, similar. And build out independent permission. Yes, lens has independent permission, similar as matrix. Okay. Can owners of the parent objects have a visibility of all the children object? No. No for lens. Yes for custom views. No for metrics. Project, yes, of course. Workbook, yes, of course. All right, move on. Next one. What about refreshing the data? Does the lens have the same data set refresh all the time? Does not reply here. Lens always just get same data as data source. Same as customer view, doesn't apply. However, metrics, if you recall, has separate refresh schedule. Okay. All right, where a child being deleted with parent deletion. Will lens be deleted when the data source is deleted? Answer is yes. Yes for customer views. Unfortunately, no for metrics because metrics has its own refresh. Last question. What happened with orphan child? Like, that does not apply to lens, does not apply to here. Metrics, yes, replies. The orphan means the view deleted, metrics exists, just cannot refresh anymore. But metrics still works. Does not apply for projects and does not apply to workbook. I think this is all I plan to share with you. I know it's quite deep on this one. I do have about 10 more minutes to answer your questions. Let me just recap this. Okay, I'll go to the QA. Explain data is turned off by default for any workbook level. Has to be turned on workbook by workbook. Although explain data can be turned off at the set level, but I will not recommend anyone to turn off at the set level. There is a new subscription timeout key. Works much better than the old key because it times out for the whole job and also works for PDF. Collection does not affect the content permission within it, not at all. So there's no permission cascading for the collection. You can have a peace of mind as admin. Embedding Ask Data to dashboard is a great feature. Just be aware that end users of the Ask Data embedded into the dashboard needs to have connection permission to the published data source and also view permission to the lens. Little bit duplicate, but that is the way how it works. Let me get to your remaining questions. Got a bunch of those. I'm going to start those questions from the top. How to check which view takes more time to complete the subscription? Oh, that's a very good question. Around subscription timeout, you can use a Postgres database. If you use online, I don't know. If you have your own server, get Postgres database, read on user, you can see subscription extracts type with a subscription job. You can query by yourself. You may be able to try, if you use online, try the out-of-box admin views. You may be able to see something there. I don't know for sure. I just developed my own query. All right. Tableau support same. No, I don't know what this one. I'll move on. This is a question. Give me a scenario. I'll try to read this out. I think you can see that from Surajang. First person has created collection in a site. Can the first person share to the second person who is different site? Don't dream. Site is a partition. Tableau never allows to share anything across the site. Don't talk about the site. Okay, nothing can be shared across the site. But this is a good question. I think it's a good feature. Not allow anything to be shared across the site. It's a good feature. Can we use cross-join for any data source in prep? Cross-join in a prep. Can we use cross-join, cross-database join for data source in the prep? I think so. Try it out. Not only that, prep allows you to do more joins. For example, you can also join the 2 published data source on the server from prep, although it cannot be done on Tableau desktop. Try it out. You can also union 2 box files from prep. You cannot union them from desktop. Prep does have more features in terms of data joining, union, and so on. Try it out. What will have happened if you drop Ask Data into a dashboard without having created lens? You cannot. Okay. When you drop Ask Data into a dashboard, it will say, what's your lens? If you don't have, you can create one. If you don't have lens, it doesn't work. Lens is required right now for Ask Data. No matter you embed Ask Data into a dashboard or not, lens is required right now, like it or not. Dave case. I used to find Ask Data had a performance impact. Is that in line with your experience? And if so, is the lens designed to return focus but limit to the data for better performance? I think you're right. Ask Data, especially when your data set is too big, depends on the questions people ask, may have a performance issue. Yeah, also depends on server and so on. With the lens, I have not compared the performance, so I cannot tell. Hopefully. Good thought process, Dave, but I don't have data to show. I cannot say. I don't know for sure. Hopefully. How to disable impact workbook function in 21.2? What do you mean how to disable? I ask me again. I don't know which you mean. Impact workbook, impact functions 21.2. Oh, you mean upload workbook function in server level? Well, I don't think there's any change when you upload the workbook. I'm not aware of the changes around 21.2 when you upload the workbooks. I'm not aware of. I think that's all the questions I got from the QA. Yeah, try that, please. I think that's all the questions I got. Any other questions or any other comments? We got a few more minutes to go. Since people asking about the lens again, maybe let me clarify since I skipped a couple of slides for that, but I will show you again this slide, okay? I'll show you this slide. What is entry point of Ask Data? It used to be published data source. Right now is lens. Again, lens is required. You cannot get around for it right now. All right, that's all I plan to share. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, for your participation. If you have any good topics you want to share with other audience, survey admins, feel free to contact Tableau community, Caroline, and your other Tableau contacts.
Oh, Mark, it looks like we have
Yep.
2 more questions.
Oh,
One
okay.
was just
I'll do.
your favorite websites you can scan about Tableau server.
My favorite website, of course. My favorite website is my own blog site. It's called enterprisetableau.com. I'll show you. It's my site, although I steal the Tableau word as part of my domain name. Sorry, enterprisetableau.com. Come here. When you come here, you will see tons of Tableau server features. I'm a Tableau server guy. I only dealing with Tableau servers. You will see a lot of my blogs. I've been doing the blogs for the last couple of years. advanced deployment, theory, how-to automation, scaling Tableau, how-to, and governance, how-to, and also some feature adoptions and so on. And you can subscribe. Now I think there's allows you to subscribe here. Plus, also, I have a link here called Server Admin Tag. When you click this link, this will go to the Tableau online site where, Tableau community site will show you all the previous recordings from this forum. More like more US presentations. It takes time, but they're coming. You can see a lot of recordings. Okay, you'll see. Pretty much, I've been doing organizing this event the last couple of years. I look at more recent ones because features coming so quick. All right, this is my favorite. Let me see if I have any other questions left. I guess we'll stop here. What do you think, Carly? Should we stop here?
Yeah, I think we're at time, but for the last two questions, they were just on Lens, which we can always type out later in a follow-up email. So thanks again, everyone, for asking all the questions. Really appreciate it. And big thank you to Mark. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It is actually Mark's holiday, and he took the time out to come out of holiday and do it for us. So big thank you to Mark. Yeah,
You're more
thanks
than
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.